stress of our world can take a toll on our physical and emotional health. Here, in New York's Catskill Mountains, lies a luxurious place of healing called WION Wellness Center. The WION Wellness Center provides 500,000 square feet of natural methods to manage diabetes, hypertension, chronic pain, obesity, depression, anxiety, and other conditions. We use the traditions of centuries-old natural science from India, yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy in personalized programs that help you take charge of your own health. A minimum 5-day stay is recommended for best results. Book now at yo1.com.
Beijing threat cements Washington, Tokyo and Manila relationship. All eyes on Biden, Kishida and Marcos' major White House summit. Will the new Lattice alliance be able to counter Xi's expansionist agenda? Will Shinzo Abe's free Indo-Pacific dream come to fruition?
I'm back with another edition of Race to Power. Coming up shortly, South Korea is holding elections tomorrow. It doesn't threaten Yoon Suk-yeol directly. But nevertheless, it is a mid-term referendum on his presidency, which, if goes against him, it could eventually lead to his ouster. We bridge it for you. It's often said that timing is everything in politics, and US President Joe Biden is well aware of that. Because 7 months before elections, he is bringing back one of his promises that worked the last time in elections: student debt. Two words that has found its victims in millions of Americans, and Joe Biden is looking to capitalize on it. It's election eve in South Korea. Preparations are underway, and on the ballot are 300 National Assembly seats. Like all countries, South Korea is no stranger to a slew of issues that plague the upcoming polls. But a bigger question lingers ahead for the big day. Are the April 10th elections a critical litmus test for the incumbent president? Now, South Korea's citizens will be casting their ballot for legislative elections on Wednesday, that's tomorrow, to decide which party will hold the majority at the country's National Assembly. To clarify for our viewers, Yoon's presidential term is separate from these elections, but its result may have a bearing on the future of his presidency. You see, the party who has an absolute majority in the National Assembly has the power to call for a referendum on the country's president. So if the opposition wins 200 seats or more, Yoon Suk-yeol faces the risk of impeachment. Currently, the opposition Democratic Party of South Korea holds 142 out of 297 seats, while the president's People Power Party has 101 seats to its name. 2 years into his presidency, Yoon Suk-yeol is in the spotlight for a slew of issues that plague South Korea's economy. One of the biggest electoral agenda being the cost of living crisis and high food inflation.
First, I think we need to vote for a candidate who understands realistic problems and suggests policies that immediately deals with them for people's livelihoods. In order to do so, it is important to know about the candidate rather than the party first. Of course, it is important to consider the candidate's party too, but only voting based on a party does nothing but divide people.
The recent doctors' protest also shone the spotlight on the recent doctors' strike in the country, after the government planned to increase medical school admission by 2,000 starting in 2025. However, recent polls that revealed declining popularity of the president may have pushed WION to make a more flexible approach towards these demonstrations, pushing him to seek a compromise amid public backlash and the medical industry facing the brunt of this strike. So in the backdrop of all these issues, the polls on Wednesday will decide two things. One, which party will gain majority in the National Assembly, and consequently, will President Yoon Suk-yeol be able to complete the remaining 3 years of his 5-year term in office, or will he be impeached? Now, there is no end to Donald Trump's legal woes. As the US presidential elections draw near, the Republican leader's courtroom troubles continue to mount. Just on Monday, a New York appeals court judge rejected former President Donald Trump's request to delay the hush money trial, which is scheduled to begin on 15th of April. The former US president has also been fighting to move the case out of Manhattan. The legal blow came just a week before jury selection was set to start. Trump's legal team had pleaded to delay the trial at least until summer in order to allow for more time to review the evidence, which arrived late. But the judge, who had already moved the trial from its original March 25th date, said that no further delays will be warranted. As pressure mounts on the Republican leader in the hush money trial, legal challenges in another criminal case is also building up. In a trial related to accusations of an election overturn in 2020, a special counsel has urged the US Supreme Court to reject Trump's immunity bid. Here's a report.
No person is above the law, not even a US president. That's what Special Counsel Jack Smith is arguing in a brief to the US Supreme Court, urging the justices to reject Donald Trump's bid for immunity from prosecution on charges of plotting to overturn his 2020 election loss.
And they're not taking this White House. We're going to fight like hell.
Smith filed the brief Monday before the justices hear oral arguments on April 25th over Trump's presidential immunity claims. In his brief, Smith said, quote, "The effective functioning of the presidency does not require that a former president be immune from accountability for these alleged violations of federal criminal law. To the contrary, a bedrock principle of our constitutional order is that no person is above the law, including the president." Smith is bringing 4 federal criminal counts against Trump in the election subversion case. Those include conspiring to defraud the United States, conspiring to obstruct, as well as obstructing the congressional certification of Joe Biden's electoral victory, and conspiring against the right of Americans to vote.
You don't concede when there's theft involved.
Trump has pleaded not guilty in this case and 3 other criminal cases he faces, seeking to paint them as politically motivated. He's the first former president to be criminally prosecuted, and he's argued for the importance of presidential immunity, saying, quote, "The threat of future prosecution and imprisonment would become a political cudgel to influence the most sensitive and controversial presidential decisions." But Smith's view was backed on Monday by a group of 19 retired 4-star U.S. military officers and other former high-ranking national security officials. They filed a supporting brief calling Trump's immunity claim contrary to the foundational principles of our democracy. They also warned that if his theory is not rejected, quote, "we risk jeopardizing America's standing as a guardian of democracy in the world and further feeding the spread of authoritarianism, thereby threatening the national security of the United States and democracies around the world." 2 lower courts have dismissed the former president's immunity claim. The Supreme Court's decision to hear arguments on his bid postponed his election subversion trial, giving Trump a boost as he tries to delay prosecutions while running for a return to the White House.
There is a running joke in the United States. You should marry your student's loan because it will stay with you forever. While it is funny, it is also the reality for millions of Americans. Over 43 million students have an outstanding student's loan. Now that is 13% of US's population. Let's come to the politics now. Elections are 7 months away in the US, and these students are a good chunk of the voting bloc. So President Joe Biden has decided to cancel student debt. If implemented, the White House claims that the move could benefit 30 million Americans. It will wipe away the entire debt amount for over 4 million Americans, eliminate the interest balances of up to 23 million, and relieve debt of at least 5,000 US dollars for over 10 million people. Biden says while a college degree is a ticket to a stable life, it has come at a huge cost. This is not the first time the Democrat is trying to unburden the students in America. It was part of his 2020 campaign promise. In 2022, Biden put in motion a plan to wipe out student debt for about 43 million borrowers. But the Supreme Court blocked this move. The top court said that it exceeds a precedent's authority. So the question is, how does President Biden plan to implement it this time? His senior staffers have hopes from the Higher Education Act. But if that will be able to actually fulfill the promise, that remains to be seen.
This is
Denying any relief to Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, the High Court quashed his petition questioning the legality of his arrest. The court held that the arrest was legal. It also underlined that the petition was not one for bail. The Aam Aadmi Party chief questioned the timing of the Delhi Chief Minister's arrest, claiming that it was made days after the upcoming general elections were announced. Kejriwal alleged that the arrest is against the basic structure of the constitution. AAP leaders say that there is no real evidence of Kejriwal's involvement in the alleged scam. The Delhi High Court, however, held that the Enforcement Directorate has enough material to arrest Kejriwal. The ED has called Kejriwal the alleged scam's kingpin. It also accused Aam Aadmi Party leaders of receiving bribes from liquor traders in exchange for formulating a favourable liquor excise policy in Delhi. The ED claims that the AAP party used the millions of dollars in bribes to sponsor its 2022 Goa Legislative Assembly election campaign. The Aam Aadmi Party has dubbed the corruption case against Kejriwal a political conspiracy. But the High Court today ruled that ED has material to believe a cash bribe was indeed used in the Goa elections. After his ED custody ended, the Delhi's Rouse Avenue court sent him to judicial custody till April 15th. Kejriwal is currently lodged in the national capital's Tihar jail. The Delhi Chief Minister was arrested on March 21st by the central agency in connection with the alleged Delhi excise policy scam case. He was sent to a 14-day judicial custody on March 28th over this case. Staying with India, after weeks of negotiations, the opposition alliance in India's Maharashtra state has chalked out a seat-sharing agreement for the upcoming parliamentary elections. The Mahavikas Aghadi, or the MVA as it's known, has finalized the pact for 48 Lok Sabha seats. And as per the deal, the Shiv Sena UBT faction will contest on 21 seats, whereas the Congress will fight elections on 17 seats, while Sharad Pawar's Nationalist Congress party will be in the electoral fray from 10 seats. Now, Shiv Sena UBT has managed to retain most of its traditional seats except Mumbai North, from where Congress will contest this time. Now, Uddhav Thackeray has clarified that there are no more differences on any seat as the deal was announced. Both ruling Mahayuti and the opposition MVA has remained in a deadlock over their respective seat-sharing deals in the state. However, an agreement is yet not on table for the ruling NDA. Maharashtra is a politically important state as it holds the second largest number of Lok Sabha seats. General elections will be held in the state in 5 phases between April 19th and May 20th. The result will be declared on June 4th. We will slip into a short break now. Coming up next, we will tell you if Jacob Zuma will be allowed to run for elections or not. Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the U.S.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players, right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of.
A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA.
Join the conversation. Welcome back. You're watching Race to Power. In a big relief for South Africa's former President Jacob Zuma, Gauteng Court has dismissed the Electoral Commission's decision that barred him from contesting in polls. This means that Zuma can now be on the Parliament's list of candidates and can also challenge current President Cyril Ramaphosa in the upcoming elections. Now, previously, the Electoral Commission of the country had argued that Zuma's 12-month jail sentence will disqualify him and his party from contesting in polls. Zuma was forced to resign as president in the year 2018 after the ANC elected Cyril Ramaphosa to succeed him as party leader in December of 2017. Now, South Africa is heading for a general election, with polls suggesting the governing African National Congress, also known as the ANC, could get less than 50% of the vote for the first time in 30 long years. Now, correspondent Kalin Omu has more on this from Johannesburg.
The Electoral Court has ruled in favor of the newly formed Umkhonto weSizwe Party and former President Jacob Zuma in the matter where the IEC had barred him from returning to Parliament. The ruling was emailed to all political parties on Tuesday. The 81-year-old and his party on Monday had said they are confident about the ruling. Zuma, while addressing his supporters on Monday outside South Gauteng High Court, also said that if his supporters want him to go back to Parliament, he would, and that he had some unfinished business. South Africans will be going to the polls next month, and as experts have indicated, it's going to be a hotly contested one. Zuma's new party is said to have drawn many ANC supporters in their favor, which might heavily impact the ANC's voter bank. This is Kalden Olmo from Johannesburg, South Africa. For WION, World is One.
Let's shift focus now. Ireland has a new Prime Minister. The Irish Parliament confirmed Simon Harris as the country's new Prime Minister. Simon Harris takes charge after Leo Varadkar abruptly resigned last month. Now, Harris was chosen for the position after a 88-69 vote by lawmakers. The 37-year-old now becomes the youngest ever holder of the position. He takes his record from his predecessor Varadkar, who was 38 when he assumed the post in 2017. Varadkar announced his unexpected resignation late last month. He said that his reasons for stepping down were both personal and political, while suggesting that a new leader would be better placed to lead his party and the current centrist governing coalition. Harris has since then ran unopposed to succeed Varadkar as the leader of the Fine Gael party. Harris is due to announce a reshuffle of his Fine Gael team, which makes up 7 of the 18 seats in the cabinet. Harris is a former health and higher education minister. He is best known for helping steer the initial response to the COVID-19 pandemic. However, he does face some challenges that have been brewing in the nation before he took charge as the Prime Minister. Ireland faces a severe shortage of affordable housing and issues such as increasing immigration. That has been a challenge for the ruling coalition under the previous leader. Harris says that he wants to bring new ideas, a new energy and a new empathy to public life. He has pledged to fix the housing crisis, quote-unquote, once and for all. Polls, meanwhile, show that his coalition is losing voters' faith. According to a recent Ireland Thinks poll, Harris's party's support stood at 21%, nearly 15 points down from its highest ratings 4 years back. Harris says that he plans to keep the coalition government going on until March of 2025, when the next elections must be held. However, opposition parties have argued that Irish public deserves an early election. In the United Kingdom, the Conservative MP William Ragg, who shared personal phone numbers of MPs with a man he met on a dating application, has stepped down from 2 Commons roles. As the Vice Chairperson of the 1922 Committee of Tory MPs, he has also reportedly resigned as Chair of the Commons Public Administration and Constitutional Affairs Committee. Last week, Ragg told The Times that he has been targeted in a suspected honey trap plot. He accepted sharing the personal details after sending intimate pictures of himself to the user. The Tory MP claimed that he was scared and that the man had quote-unquote compromising things on him. Ragg has since apologized, saying that he has hurt colleagues by being weak. Reports claim that MPs were sent unsolicited flirtatious messages. The unknown sender identified themselves either as Abby or Charlie. According to a report by Politico, at least 20 people in political circles received the texts. The targets include MPs, political journalists and employees of political parties. However, most of them claim that they blocked the sender. Now, London's Metropolitan Police are currently investigating the case. Now, correspondent Stuart Smith has more on this from London.
So when the honey trap scandal came to light here in the UK last week, MPs on his side of the party, the Conservatives, were largely understanding, said that they accepted his public apology and that he had done the right thing by being transparent, clearly in an attempt to draw a line under the fiasco for the Conservative Party. But it seems that it hasn't quelled concerns enough, and so therefore William Ragg will have to resign from these positions. He's not going as far as the opposition party, Labour, would like him to do by stepping down as an MP, but it is a serious repercussion for what most in his party and also outside it agree was a serious mistake at the very least. So two influential roles, not in government, but for the governing party, for the Conservative Party, he will no longer be part of. He's stepping down as chair from the Commons Public Administration and Constitutional Affairs Committee, a relevant one because that is the committee that tries to uphold standards in Parliament, and the other committee he's stepping down from is the 1922 committee as vice chair. That one is related to the conduct of backbenchers in Parliament. So he retains his job, he's still part of the Conservative Party, but no longer has those senior roles.
Let's take a look at some other stories from around the globe. Just days ahead of India's Lok Sabha polls, Chief Election Commissioner Rajiv Kumar's security cover has been upgraded to the Z category. According to sources, the Home Affairs Ministry sanctioned the security cover based on a report from the Intelligence Bureau. A total of 33 security personnel, including CRPF commandos, will be assigned to safeguard Rajiv Kumar. The decision to elevate Kumar's security status comes at a time when opposition parties like the Trinamool Congress are protesting against the Election Commission. The Aam Aadmi Party has started a door-to-door drive in capital Delhi as part of its Jail Ka Jawab Vote Se campaign. It aims to gain support for the party and for Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, who is currently lodged in Tihar jail. Under the campaign, AAP leaders will visit every house in the 4 Lok Sabha constituencies where the party has fielded its candidates. The party contesting the Lok Sabha polls in an alliance with the Congress that is contesting the remaining 3 seats in the national capital. Polling for the 7 Lok Sabha seats in Delhi will be held on May 25th. In Poland's local government elections, the nationalist opposition party Law and Justice, or PIS, has won the popular vote. This is a setback for Prime Minister Donald Tusk's ambitions to cement his grip on power. Tusk, grouping in the ruling alliance, KO, did not succeed in leading the election independently. But the ruling coalition government will control more regional councils than PIS. Now, KO won just over 30% of the vote, but the 3 groupings that form the coalition government won over 50% combined. Bulgaria's President Rumen Radev has called for snap elections on June 9th. President Radev also appointed a caretaker government led by Prime Minister Dimitar Gladchev. The parliamentary vote is set to coincide with elections for Bulgaria's member of the European Parliament. The 60-year-old caretaker Prime Minister previously served as the head of the country's audit chamber. Bulgaria is the poorest member of the EU and one of its most corrupt states. The country is rocked by political instability since anti-corruption protests in the year 2020. And with that, we are wrapping up this edition of Race to Power. Thanks for watching with me, Ananya Datta.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
WION Health Resort is unique, the only one of its kind. Experience the 4 paths of natural wellness: yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy. Each uniquely customized program improves the whole person to make every person whole. Come to WION Health Resort. Make your reservation at yowan.com.
Hello there, you're watching WION World is One. I'm Eric Njoka. Time now for WION Fine Print. The headlines. Israeli tanks continue to patrol the Gaza border in southern Israel as the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says that the military will eliminate Hamas's brigades regardless of what the rest of the world says, and including in Rafah. Russia says Ukraine attacked the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant for a third day with a drone, but Ukrainian military intelligence denies that Kyiv had anything to do with the attacks. Sunni militants attacked 2 police cars in southeast Iran, killing at least 5 police officers and wounding 1. The Jaish al-Adil group claims the attack. A South African court allows former President Jacob Zuma to run in May's general elections, overturning an earlier decision by electoral authorities barring him of a previous conviction. Delhi High Court rejects an appeal against arrest of key opposition leader and Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal in a liquor policy corruption case. Paytm Payments Bank CEO and Managing Director Surinder Chola resigned on Tuesday, citing personal reasons. The bank said Chola's departure will be effective June 26th, but did not announce a replacement. The digital payments Paytm, however, received a third-party app license to continue facilitating payments. Securities beefed up in Paris and Madrid ahead of the Champions League quarter-finals. European football's governing body UEFA says the ties will go ahead after a terror threat from the Islamic State. As the war on Gaza enters the 7th month, the cracks are widening in Netanyahu's cabinet. Israel's longest